Hello to everyone in the Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Cathedral community and all of our friends. I want to send a special greeting to our young people of the community, reminding them to come to church. Even though it's summertime, there's lots going on. Bring your families. We love seeing everyone here and worshiping together and enjoying the beautiful experience of community in worship and after worship. There's a lot going on in our community. We just had our Panagiri and our feast day. It was a beautiful celebration with lots of fun activities and great food and dancing and music. It was so beautiful, wonderful for us to be a part of together. Coming up this week is a really important event. Actually tomorrow, I'm posting this video Friday. Tomorrow, Saturday, is the enthronement of the new Archbishop of America, Elpidophoros. We've been posting information to our Facebook pages and videos. There's a new Be the Bee episode that aired specifically about the enthronement of a bishop with reference to an anticipation of His Eminence Archbishop Elpidophoros' enthronement tomorrow, Saturday, the 22nd of June. And it's such a beautiful thing for us to witness. It'll be live streamed via the Go Arch website, and so we can keep an eye on it, watch it happen as it happens. And I really encourage you to watch this historic event. Archbishop Elpidophoros is a brilliant, wonderful, spiritual person, and we look very much forward to the fruitfulness of his ministry here in the United States as the leader of the Orthodox Church, the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America. In addition to that, this coming weekend is it's actually the last Sunday of the Pentecostarian period, and I've been doing these videos for the whole of the Pentecostarian period, and before that, during the Lenten period, and it comes to the last Sunday with a very particular theme that's movable based on the date of Pascha. In brief, there's fixed feasts throughout the year. When we have a name day of a saint, and that's our name day, it's on the same date every year for many of us. But then there are movable feasts that are not on the same day each year because they're dependent on the date of Pascha. So those Sundays, the themes of in Great Lent that we discussed, and these Pentecostarian period themes as well, they're not on the same calendar date each year. And it's because it's all dictated by when Pascha falls, which is there's a complicated rubric and equation, so to speak, for how we determine the date of Pascha each year. And I think I mentioned it in a video before, but I'll try to find a link to post along with this video. And so we're in the last Sunday of this Pentecostarian period, and it's the Sunday of All Saints. And I know we celebrate, as I said, the saints on each day of the year. There's a different saint that's kind of the primary of the day, but then if we read through the prayer service or the liturgical service of that day, there's a portion called the Synaxarion, the gathering, and it's the gathering of all of the saints that are celebrated on that day. We usually celebrate the major person, the person who's most significant for that day. And then we'll commemorate those lesser known people, saints at the same time. And sometimes in a local custom, there's a saint that's celebrated on a particular day that is more significant than maybe what the broader church would do. If there's a saint from a particular region that's celebrated on a particular day, we'd like to do that. The local community can celebrate the saint that's significant to them. Now, so it's the Sunday of All Saints, and yes, we're celebrating all those saints that we commemorate throughout the year, but we're also reminded on All Saints Day of all those saints that are not known as saints in the sense that they're not canonized as saints. They're not amongst the calendar of saints that we celebrate on the different days of each calendar year. And some of those saints are those that we're aware of, but others are those that we're not aware of. They're people that lived holy lives for 2,000 years, saintly lives, lives that would inspire us as Christians to live more fervently in our faith in Jesus Christ, and to authentically express ourselves as Christians in the midst of this world. However, they're unknown for whatever reason, lost to time. They lived in a region that was lesser known, and that story was lost. And in addition to these past expressions, expressions of Christian faith and saintliness, we also have contemporary examples as well that also aren't recognized as saints yet. And there are those that we say are living saints, people that are still alive and are living out their faith as very holy and strong examples of spiritual life and faith. And then there are those that maybe aren't the great athletes and with amazing stories to tell about their lives, but simply are faithful people throughout the generations that live their faith authentically as they were where they were. We may know these types of people, the yayades and babudes that we have in our families, and our neighbors and friends, our fellow parishioners at our cathedral community, or wherever we are. All of these are saintly people, and they too are people that we remember on All Saints' Day, those who have gone before us to the kingdom. One thing that all this that I'm saying reminds me of is a story from the life of Saint Anthony, or the sayings of Saint Anthony. And Saint Anthony was a great saint. He was even called Saint Anthony the Great. He lived in the Egyptian desert way back in the early part of the Christian era, there's a story from his sayings where he is praying to God and asks for God to reveal to him his spiritual equal so that he can learn from him. And so God reveals to him that there's a tanner, a man who makes leather in the city of Alexandria, which is this closest city to where Saint Anthony was in the desert. And Saint Anthony goes to seek out this tanner, to ask him how he has such great wisdom living in the midst of the city. And when he found this man, and he said he asked him how he does it, and he goes, the tanner said, "I don't know what I've done that's so great. I just do what I'm supposed to do and humbly offer myself to God, acknowledging how I am, who I am, my sinfulness in the midst of the world, my shortcomings." And Saint Anthony was amazed by this, that a man who would be a distraction, the life of the world, the busyness of the hustle and bustle of daily life, even in the midst of that, he becomes not just a saintly person, but on par with one of the greatest saints of the monastic tradition, one of the founders of the monastic tradition as we understand it, and he's found to be a spiritual equal. And in my sermon this coming Sunday, I'll be talking a little bit about time management as a spiritual practice. Maybe not something that we think of as a spiritual practice, but it goes in line with this, that in the midst of our daily lives, we have the capacity to be saintly, to be holy, to sanctify, to live a sanctified life so that the world around us might be sanctified and glorified and manifest God's presence more authentically. And we can do that in any walk of life. We don't have to simply look to the great athletes, the monastic saints, the fathers and mothers of the church. We don't have to look at great ecumenical teachers and all of these things. We simply have to look at those who live their lives of wherever they are, faithfully, honestly, with love and mercy. And in that we find ourselves encountering another saint, a group of saints. Something, and it makes the idea of saintliness, sanctification, glorification, something not far off and something that we can't attain to as people living in the midst of the world. It's something that ultimately, although it's not natural to us to be ultimately, we are not God. We're something completely other than God, and yet by God's grace we are made like God. We are deified by God's presence in us, by God's grace, and we become what Christ is, perfect God and perfect humanity, in a single person. By God's grace, what Christ is by nature, we become by grace, and that's the beauty of this day, this feast of All Saints. It invites us to remember, not just remember those who are saints that we know and we celebrate all the time, but those that we don't know, and also encourages us to live our lives so that we may be sanctified and sanctify the world by carrying forth God's presence in the midst of this world that really needs it. The world needs saintly people, holy people, people that can manifest God in it. So I pray that you have a beautiful week. There's going to be a lot going on. Again, watch that live stream of Archbishop Elpidiaforos' enthronement tomorrow, and I look forward to seeing you all at church on Sunday. Really quick, next week is also the soccer camp at Hellenic Park. I'll be seeing you a few times hopefully a few times during that week. And it is also the Metropolis Clergy Ladies. So Father and I and Dino, the Parish Council President, and Steffi, our office manager, will all be representing the community at this event in Jacksonville, so we can learn the best ways to serve the community, how to serve our youth, how to serve those who are elderly and and those who are nearing the end of life, how to minister to families and all of that. And we're very excited. We're going to take everything that we learned at this clergy laity conference and bring it back and use it to strengthen our community through encouraging our faithful to live out their faith more authentically, to live saintly lives, as I've been talking about. God bless you. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Have a beautiful day.